Stand today in the jungles of Central America, and you will find ancient stone giants swallowed whole by long centuries of unbroken silence. These soaring stone temples were once the tallest buildings anywhere in the Americas, home to kings, priests, and 500,000 living souls. Then within a single brutal century, the Maya suddenly abandoned their greatest cities and vanished into the surrounding tropical forest. This is the story of how one of history's most brilliant civilizations quietly came completely undone at the very height of its imperial power. Long before the eventual fall of Rome, the Maya had already built magnificent cities that rivaled anything found anywhere in the ancient world. Tikal rose from the steaming lowlands of Guatemala, its towering stone temples piercing the jungle canopy like fingers reaching toward heaven. Its crowded plazas roared with trade, its markets overflowing with jade, cacao beans, quetzal feathers, and intricately hand-painted pottery. Kings claimed direct descent from the gods themselves, while priests read the fate of entire empires in the slow movement of stars overhead. Calakmul, Tikal's greatest and bitterest rival, commanded a sprawling web of alliances stretching across dozens of smaller vassal kingdoms. For centuries, these two rival superpowers fought, traded, and intermarried in a shifting drama of raw ambition, pride, and endless spilled blood. Farmers carefully terraced hillsides and drained ancient swamps, feeding populations that dwarfed most cities of medieval Europe at the time. For a moment, it truly seemed the entire Maya world would simply keep expanding forever, upward toward the sky and outward into the deep jungle. But beneath the towering temples, deep cracks were quietly forming that no astronomer or priest could ever hope to read in the stars above. The land itself was being pushed far past its limits, stripped bare of forest to feed an endless royal hunger for lime plaster and cut stone. Deforestation slowly dried out the soil, and rain, once reliable as clockwork, began arriving noticeably later and lighter every single year. Then came the droughts, long and utterly merciless, striking a civilization that was completely dependent on predictable seasonal rainfall. Lake sediments pulled carefully from those centuries reveal years so dry that entire harvests failed one right after another in grim sequence. Reservoirs that had sustained tens of thousands of people for generations cracked wide open beneath a punishing, relentless tropical sun above. As crops withered helplessly in the fields, the delicate balance between city and countryside began to violently unravel piece by piece by piece. Hunger rarely stays quiet for very long, and across the Maya lowlands, it very quickly turned neighbor sharply and bitterly against neighbor. Warfare, once mostly ritual and carefully limited, escalated rapidly into brutal campaigns of total conquest and outright citywide destruction. Stone monuments that once proudly celebrated royal births now instead recorded burned cities and humiliated, captured kings dragged in chains. Calakmul and Tikal exhausted each other across long decades of relentless warfare, weakening both powers far beyond any hope of real recovery. Smaller kingdoms quickly sensed their chance and struck hard, toppling old royal dynasties that had confidently ruled for many long centuries. Trade routes collapsed one after another, taking with them the wealth that once funded grand temples, standing armies, and lavish royal feasts. Kings who had always claimed divine power over rain and harvest suddenly had neither one left to offer their increasingly starving people. When drought finally outlasted every desperate prayer, the sacred foundation of Maya kingship itself began to quietly crumble away for good. Commoners who had labored for years to raise these pyramids now had every reason in the world to simply walk away from their failing rulers. And so, city after city, the great ceremonial centers of the Maya world slowly emptied out into the patient, waiting arms of the silent jungle. Archaeologists today call it the classic Maya collapse, though almost nothing about this slow unraveling actually happened all at once at all. It was slower, stranger, and far more deeply human than any single dramatic catastrophe could ever fully and simply explain on its own terms. In the south, great cities like Copan and Palenque fell silent first, their once grand plazas quietly and gradually reclaimed by thick vines. Construction simply stopped mid-project, tools and half-carved stones left scattered as if the builders truly expected to return again soon. Yet in the north, cities like Chichen Itza rose even higher still, absorbing refugees from the south and quietly rewriting the rules of power. The Maya people were not disappearing at all. They were relocating, adapting and quietly rebuilding an entire new world somewhere else nearby. Still, the sheer scale of abandonment across the southern lowlands remains one of history's most fascinating and enduring unsolved mysteries. Population estimates suggest that millions of people either died from famine or migrated within only a few short and desperate generations. Imagine cities the size of modern metropolises left entirely behind to the jaguars, the vines, and the endless silence of the jungle canopy. Religion itself had to answer for this catastrophic failure, and old gods slowly lost their grip on an increasingly frightened population. New rituals emerged, new capital cities rose swiftly from the ashes, and the old, sacred order of divine kingship quietly faded away for good. By the time Spanish conquistadors finally arrived centuries later, they discovered haunting stone ruins, not an empty and forgotten history. Millions of Maya people still lived scattered widely across the region, their ancient language and vibrant culture remaining very much alive. The cities themselves had fallen silent, but the Maya people never actually disappeared entirely, as popular modern legend often still claims. What truly collapsed was a fragile political system, a network of kings whose power depended entirely on a stable and predictable climate. Climate change, endless warfare, aggressive deforestation, and failing leadership combined together into one slow, grinding, unraveling process. No single cause alone ever toppled the entire Maya world, only the compounding weight of many smaller failures piling up all at once together. It is a warning, written permanently in limestone, one that feels strangely and uncomfortably familiar within our own modern century today. Civilizations rarely ever die from just one single blow. They slowly erode until one final drought or famine finally breaks their weary back. Today, drones equipped with laser scanners are revealing thousands of long-lost structures still hidden beneath the dense tropical canopy. If this journey into the lost and haunting Maya world truly fascinated you, make absolutely sure to smash that like button before you go now. Subscribe right now for even more cinematic explorations into history's greatest mysteries and its many long-forgotten lost civilizations. History never truly disappears. It simply waits patiently in the roots, the ruins, and the falling rain for all of us to return someday soon.